A historically bad Angels season just got a whole lot worse. The Halos fall to 30 games under 500 with loss number 90. And who does it come against? The 115 loss Chicago White Sox. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We'll try to make sense of this darn team on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, I guess. Are there even Halo hopefuls at this point? Hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, for the most part, on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. My name's Gavin Carlson, a former credentialed journalist in the LA area, and now a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. What do we say, guys? I mean, what do we say after a loss like this? The Angels fall 8-4 to the 115 historically bad Chicago White Sox, to remind all of us that this Angels team is historically bad as well. Now 60-90, 30 games under 500, 90 losses. They've lost 6 in a row, 8 of their last 9. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I don't even know what to say, guys. Reid Detmers, who looked like he was turning the corner since he came back from the minors, gives up 7 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings pitched, and he actually was pretty good in innings 4 and 5 in the beginning of the 6th, but he gave up 3 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second, a run in the third, and the Angels are never going to come back from a 7-run deficit, even if it's the Chicago White Sox. I mean, my God, Angels lose, you read my mind. I was about to say, I have had the most brutal weekend. He says it. Gavin having a tough week. Angels lose every game. Rams got blown out. UCLA got blown out. I mean, oh my goodness, you could see the bags under my eyes. Yes, it's actually because I had my first official day of my new full-time job, my first full-time job as a post-grad. So that's the real reason you see the bags under the eyes. I also just got back from the gym, so it's been a long day. But the Angels made it a lot longer. And yes, Angels lose, you're all right. It's been a brutal week. I was at the Rose Bowl to watch UCLA lose 42-13. That's why I couldn't do the postcast. I just said the Angels. I meant UCLA. I don't even know what I said. I was at the Rose Bowl on Saturday, watched that massacre. That's why I didn't do the Angels postcast on Saturday. Sunday, I was doing the Rams postcast after their massacre. And now I'm here tonight after the Angels massacre. So yes, absolutely brutal weekend. Angels fall 8-4. Shout out to everybody in here. You know how much I appreciate you guys always tuning in, even when the Angels are this bad. I really appreciate it. You guys are the only reason I do this darn show, which certainly isn't because of the Angels as a team, because my word, they are bad. On tonight's show, we'll talk about Reid Detmers, because it's really frustrating and a bummer, because looked like he was turning the corner, and now there's questions about if he can be trusted next year in the rotation. I know it's just one start, but he looked like the Reid Detmers that got sent down earlier this season. We'll also talk about the lack of offense. Sure, 4 runs, but only 5 hits for the Angels tonight. And we'll also look at the road ahead, because not only is the worst record in Angels history now looking really likely. The last time I talked to you guys, the team had lost a couple in a row, but now they've lost 6 in a row. Now they're already at 90 losses. They need to win 8 games. 8 of their last 12. They're not doing that. So this will be the worst season in Angels history. And now 100 losses looks like it might be a possibility again. Absolutely unbelievable. But before we jump into this one, we're already 5 minutes in. But before we officially jump in, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. We'll start with Reid Detmers and his brutal start today, because he wasted no time wasted no time having a rough start. He gets the first guy out, but then walks Luis Robert Jr. and then gives up a home run to Andrew Benintendi. An 0-2 pitch, you get ahead in the at-bat, and then you throw a hanging slider at the letters. And Benintendi gets lefty on lefty crime, hits one 415 feet, 101.2 exit velo, and before you can blink an eye, it's already 2-0. Then what does he respond with? How about a home run on just 2 pitches later? This one against Andrew Vaughn. He hit it even further, 432 feet, 107.7 exit velo. Not a terrible pitch, a down and in fastball, but could have been better, and nonetheless, it's 3-0, just like that. Then in the top of the second, once again, gets the first guy out, once again, walks the second guy, and that leads to trouble. This time, Jacob Amaya walks, then Zach Deloach, I don't care what his last name is because he's on the White Sox, the 115-loss White Sox, and yet this team just beat ours. Zach De whatever gets a base hit. It's first and second. Luis Robert Jr. comes up, and he hits an absolute weak ground ball. Nolan Schanuel with the throwing error that allows Jacob Amaya to score. It's a disaster everywhere. Disaster from Detmers. This time a disaster in the field from Nolan Schanuel that allows Jacob Amaya to score. And then Benintendi grounds out to Charles LeBlanc. But on that play, Zach De whatever scores, and it's 5-0 White Sox. So everybody's doing poorly for the Angels, both the pitcher, both the fielders, and then Andrew Vaughn caps off the inning with the triple. Deep fly ball, 401 feet, almost had his second home run in as many innings. It ends up just being a 1-run triple, but just like that, it's 6-0 White Sox. Oh my word. But there was more. Even after Eric Wagaman hit his Wagaman. I don't know, I said that like a reggae. Wagaman. I don't know what's going on. Clearly I'm tired, but Wagaman hits his first career home run, but it's instantly erased by a leadoff home run by Lenin Sosa for the White Sox. Another 400 feet plus bomb. This one on a 1-1 slider. It wasn't a terrible pitch, probably higher than you would like. He crushed it. They were all over Detmers. It's 7-1. Now, like they were saying on the radio broadcast, I will give Ron Washington credit. He said, heck, I'm going to leave Detmers in, let him try to work through this start. Fortunately for Detmers, he gets 3 straight outs there to end the third. Then he gets 3 out of the 4 in the fourth, and then he gets a 1-2-3 inning in the fifth, gets the leadoff guy out in the sixth. So he's able to settle in, not actually give up a single base hit the rest of the inning, or rest of his outing, in innings 4 and 5, and the first out of the sixth inning, and all 3 outs of the third, just 1 base runner on a walk. So he really did settle in after that, but it doesn't matter. An absolute brutal start for Reid Detmers puts the Angels in a huge hole, and we know this team isn't going to get out of holes very often, and you would hope the one team they would get out of a hole against is the White Sox. But the Angels are dead at this point. They are so clearly dead. They absolutely rolled over this weekend. I didn't get to share my thoughts with you guys about it because I was busy doing the UCLA postcast talking about them getting absolutely crushed. Then I did the Rams postcast talking about them absolutely getting crushed. But yes, I didn't get to talk about the Angels and their abysmal weekend, back-to-back losses on Saturday and Sunday. Now 6 losses in a row. They lost the last 2 in the Twin Series. They lose all 3 against the Houston Astros, and now they lose this game against the White Sox. Let's not forget, coming into this stretch, coming into the Twin Series, this team was what? If they're 60-90 right now, they were 59-84, I believe, if I do the math correctly there. And we're talking about maybe avoiding 95 losses, getting to 68 wins. And since then, they've lost 6 in a row, 8 of their last 9. And the White Sox, we looked at those games, those 6 games against the White Sox, and said you got to win 5 of those 6, really, to avoid the worst season in Angels history. And what do? You lose the first game. You lose the first game, and it wasn't particularly close. So now you are certainly looking like you're going to have the worst record in the history of Angels baseball. But honestly, that 100 losses is really staring at you. You need to win 3 games before you lose 10. You need to win 3 of your last 12. I don't know, man. At this rate, could you predict anything other than the Angels getting swept by the Astros in 4 games, probably losing at least 2 of 3 against the Rangers? Say they win one of those 7 games, between 4 against the Astros and 3 against the Rangers. Say they win one of those 7. Then you've got 5 White Sox games where you got to win 2 of the 5. I mean, that's ridiculously easy. This White Sox team lost 115 games already. They could have 125 losses by the end of the season. 125. And yet you lost the series opener and it wasn't even close. Absolutely unbelievable. We're going to take our first break here on the postcast. When we come back, we'll talk about the lack of offense. I mean, the Angels did score 4 runs, but they did wait a little bit too late to do it. They were already behind in a big way, and they only had 5 hits. So we'll talk about the underwhelming offensive performance. A couple guys with good games, but for the most part, underwhelming. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the road ahead when we come back here on the Locked On Angels postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, I have something a little different for you. Right now, through September 22nd, so we've got about a week left, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. That's right. Just a $5 bet on FanDuel gets you 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. I had Sunday Ticket last year on YouTube. It was great. I just renewed it this year, literally yesterday. It was great to watch one of my favorite teams, the Saints, who they had a great weekend. My other favorite team, the Rams, boy, did they not. But yes, YouTube TV, the NFL Sunday Ticket on there, it's amazing. Unlike when it was on DirecTV, which me and my family experienced, where it wasn't great. It was okay on TV, but not on apps, not on websites. YouTube is a streaming company, obviously. So whether it's on your phone, your laptop, your iPad, your smart TV, or on your TV as is, the Sunday Ticket on YouTube is absolutely fantastic. And with this amazing deal from FanDuel, you get a 3-week free trial. So take advantage of this amazing offer. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. Angels lose to the White Sox, the 115-loss White Sox by a score of 8-4. It wasn't even close. Reid Detmers gives up 7 runs in the first 3 innings en route to an 8-4 defeat. We already talked about how much he struggled, giving up a bunch of home runs. A throwing error from Nolan Schanuel made matters worse. Let's talk about the offense now. They do score 4 runs, but only on 4 hits. Eric Wagman hits his first career home run in the second inning to cut the lead to 6-1. It's kind of like that Chris Paul meme. He hits the 3 to cut the lead to 52 against the Mavs when he was on the Suns. That's kind of what that home run felt like, and it got worse. That run instantly erased, and it goes back to 7-1. The Angels added 1 more run in the 5th inning, thanks to a Charles LeBlanc home run, his second of his young career. So a couple of young guys who maybe we don't have them in the young and future of the Angels category, kind of just young guys, able to come through with 2 solo shots. And then the Angels score their other 2 runs in the 7th inning to try to make it look like there is some hope. Nico Cavadas hit by a pitch to lead off the inning, then back-to-back outs before Charles LeBlanc is walked. Then Jonathan Cannon is pulled for Chad Cole, and Jordan Adams immediately singles to score Charles LeBlanc. Then Gustavo Campero hits a liner into left field to score Charles LeBlanc. It's 8-4. Campero's fist bumping like he just took the lead there, and not that he cut the lead from 5-4 against the 115-loss White Sox. A little embarrassing, if you ask me. Then the Angels go 1-2-3 in the 3rd, and 1-2 in the 3rd. Go 1-2-3 in the 8th, and 1-2-3 in the 9th inning. Excuse me, I'm going to take a quick sip of water. My lips are very dry. Give me 1 second. This is a live broadcast. Sorry about that. I was absolutely dying, kind of like the Angels offense. I saw a joke in the comment section about Liquid IV. I need Liquid IV right now. The Angels certainly need Liquid IV right now. And all of my teams need Liquid IV. UCLA, the Rams, and the Angels. Absolutely embarrassing from all of them. But yes, Angels only 5 hits. Didn't really do anything. They had a couple solo shots. They had, the Jordan Adams RBI, the Gustavo Campero RBI. I mean, look at this lineup for the Angels: Taylor Ward, Zach Neto, Nolan Schanuel, and then look at these names: Nico Cavadis, Matt Thaiss, Wageman, LeBlanc, Jordan Adams, and Gustavo Quintero. A bunch of guys that have barely played Major League Baseball. So it's unsurprising to some degree that they lose with this lineup. But I mean, Ron Washington, I would like to see you try to avoid 100 losses. I'd like to see you try to avoid 96 losses. This lineup certainly doesn't do that. Clearly, this team is playing for the future. We saw what they decided to do with Caden Dana. We'll talk about that after the break, as well as the Mike Trout interview. But you can tell this team is planning for next year. I would like to see them have a little bit of heart and try to not have the worst record in the history of the franchise. But at this point, it looks like they've waved the white flag, because those the 3 straight losses to the Astros, the 2 straight losses to the Twins kind of signaled this team was already looking like it was going to set the record for the worst season in Angels history. Now you just got to avoid the 100 losses. At this point, it's going to be the worst season, but you got to avoid the 100 losses. Absolutely brutal. Just looking at some of the names here: Taylor Ward 0 for 3 with the walk. Zach Neto goes 0 for 4. He's now exactly at 250 batting average. Schanuel 1 for 4. Cavadis 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Matt Thaiss 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, proving that all Angels hitters, or all Angels catchers, both Logan O'Hoppe and Matt Thaiss, cannot hit right now. Wageman goes 1 for 4 with the solo shot. LeBlanc goes 1 for 3 with his solo shot. He also scored another run because he got on via a walk. Jordan Adams 1 for 3 with his RBI, and Quintero 1 for 3 with his RBI. So no one other than no one other than Neto with an awful performance. I mean, Ward gets on base once, Schanuel gets a hit once, Cavadis gets on base one time via the hit by pitch. Matt Thaiss, he was awful as well, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Wageman the solo shot, LeBlanc the solo shot, Adams and Quintero both with an RBI single. So other than Thaiss and Neto, no one was awful tonight, but no one was great either, which you need at least one guy to be great against the White Sox, and nobody was. Cannon moves to 4-10 with the White Sox with an ERA. I mean, I just lost it. The ERA is at 4.61 now. So yeah, just bad news. Bad news for this Angels team. It's absolutely brutal. There's no other way to put it. I'm going to quickly get to your comments now, and then after the break, I will discuss some recent news about both Mike Trout and Caden Dana, both making news for the Angels today. Jeff says sweep, and we will probably get 100 losses. Certainly a valid thing. BC in here spewing go Dodgers as always. Angels lose says utterly embarrassing. Sad to say, but Reid Detmers sucks. I'm not going to say sucks, but certainly looking more like the guy that we sent down. Roger says I didn't think it could get any worse. Well, we just didn't know which Angels team we were talking about. We're talking about the 2024 Angels. It can always get worse, clearly. Angels lose says fire Ron Washington, he means, and hire Torrey Hunter. We know he's been pushing for that. It's not going to happen. Clearly, the Angels aren't trying right now. And I saw someone tweeting that they're now within like 2.5 games of having the worst record, or the 3rd worst record in baseball. They won't have a worse record than the White Sox. We know that, but they're pushing. Anaheim Angels says Jeff is right, unfortunately, about 100 losses. Angels aren't showing me anything different in terms of passion, a want to win. They don't show it right now at all. Angels lose says maybe the Angels should drop Pocari Sweat and switch to Liquid IV. Hilarious. BC says former credentialed. Yes, in my intro, you hear me say former credentialed. Yes, I'm a former credentialed journalist, meaning that for 4 years while I was at UCLA, I wrote for the Daily Bruin. I was a credentialed journalist, meaning I would have credentials. I'd go into press boxes. I'd go into locker rooms or dugouts or press conference rooms, benches, practices, all that good stuff with the Daily Bruin. I don't do that anymore. Obviously, I still cover teams right here with Locked On, but I'm not credentialed in the sense that I'm not given a credential, not given special treatment to go to any games or whatnot. That's what I mean by that. Yeah, Angels lose once again, saying how much I was having a tough week. Absolutely. Skylar says, haven't been on here in a long time, but the Angels just continue to prove we are embarrassing. I don't expect any changes in offseason. They got to show me at this point. Yeah, at this point, you can't expect anything from this franchise. Angels lose says, what do you do in the offseason if you were in charge of the Angels? I'd I'd be glad I'm not Artie Moreno. If that meant I'm in charge, that means Artie Moreno doesn't exist, which is probably for the better. I think I do keep Ron Washington, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, but I don't think it's really fair to give up on him after one season. I'd say I probably, I don't know. I probably play the waiting game in free agency and see if there's a situation like a Blake Snell where you can get a guy for 1 year and not have to commit to him long term. Guys like Anthony Rendon have me scared to commit to anybody. I mean, unless it's like a Corbin Burns where it's an elite guy. But if there's like a Blake Snell situation where a starter is waiting for a big contract, multiple years, doesn't get it from anybody, and the Angels can just give him a 1 year deal to lead this starting rotation. Hopefully Dana can be better. Hopefully Detmers, I guess, can be better. Tyler Anderson would be there. Jose Soriano would be there. Kohanowitz could maybe be there if Detmers isn't better. I think that's what I would do. Lineup wise, probably going to leave it as is. I don't think they're going to go after a Juan Soto or anything like that. So, yeah, Roger says whoever said fire Ron Washington needs to be fired is misguided. He has done a good job managing a Double-A team. Our offense is made up of players who at best belong in Triple-A. I mean, right now, yes. Anaheim Angel says Roger is correct. It's not Ron's fault. We don't have any players, and the ones we have are injured. Yes, exactly. A lot of injuries. When Ron Washington signed up for this job, he assumed Mike Trout would play baseball. He assumed Anthony Rendon would play baseball. He assumed Taylor Ward wouldn't be awful the first half of the year. He assumed Logan O'Hoppe wouldn't be awful the second half of the year, right? So I'm not going to blame it all on him, but certainly would like to see a little bit more heart at this point in the season from the Angels. All right, we're going to take our last break here. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the news that dropped today, both about Caden, Dana, and Mike Trout. We'll get to that after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, finally, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. In September, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right, only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks, and PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. The Angels fall 8-4 to the White Sox, the historically bad White Sox, because let's not be mistaken, the Angels are historically bad as well. Enough about this game. Let's talk about some of the recent news that dropped today regarding the Angels. First off, Angel superstar Mike Trout, I'm reading this off of MLB.com, said his twice surgically repaired left knee is feeling better and he's open to potentially moving to a corner outfield spot or serving as a designated hitter more often to try to stay healthy. This is great news in my opinion if you're an Angels fan. We all love Mike Trout, or at least I still do. Of course, we're all upset that he's always hurt, but I still love him. I still think he's the best Angel ever. I still think he's one of the best players of his generation, if not ever, if he were to continue on the trajectory he used to be on, that is, at least. But we know he's also kind of stubborn, and we know he wants to be playing center field and trying to steal bases and all this stuff, but clearly his body has proven he can't do that at this point. So we have been clamoring for him to move to the corner outfield spots to lessen the load on his legs, or just even move to DH to really eliminate any risk of injury other than maybe getting hit by a pitch or, stealing a base here and there. So I think this is great news that he's proving he's not at this point going to be stubborn. He has lost the privilege, the right to be stubborn when he's proven he cannot stay on the field. Going back to the article, it says Trout, a 3-time AL MVP and 11-time All-Star, tore his left meniscus on April 29th and underwent an operation on May 3rd. But after playing in just one rehab game with AAA Salt Lake on July 23rd, Trout felt some discomfort and shut down his rehab assignment. An initial MRI exam showed no new damage, but he still felt something in his knee for a few days later, and it was determined there was a new tear just above the former one. He underwent surgery on his 33rd birthday on August 7th and said before tonight's 8-4 loss that he's progressed to swinging the bat and participating in agility drills, which will allow him to have a normal offseason. So between having a normal offseason and maybe lessening the load on his body by being a corner outfielder or a DH, I think that will certainly be beneficial for him in actually playing a real full season for the Angels. Finally, he says, I think there's definitely going to be some conversations in the offseason. It's reality. I know I have a certain amount of years on my deal, and I knew when I signed my contract I'd eventually move to a corner, but is it next year? I don't know, but we'll have conversations. He finally adds, I think everything's on the table. Ultimately, my goal is to be in that batter's box, in the field every single day. Whether that's moving to a corner or DHing more, I'll leave it up to the front office to come up with a plan. Where I'm at and what's happened the last few years, I'm definitely going to try to explore every option that can keep me out there. I love to hear that. The other news we'll discuss, Caden Dana. We know he did not play well on Sunday. So he has been shut down for the season, according to MLB.com. It says Dana ranked as the club's #1 prospect and the number 70 overall prospect by MLB Pipeline. That's pretty embarrassing, by the way, that our #1 prospect isn't even a top 50 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. He's being shut down for the season after struggling in his last 2 starts. The 20-year-old, who is the second youngest player in the major leagues behind Brewers outfielder Jackson Chourio, picked up the win in his debut, allowing 2 runs over 6 innings against the Mariners on September 1st. But Dana, who had a 2.52 ERA in 23 starts at AA, gave up 5 runs over 1+ innings against the Rangers on September 8th and 5 runs over 3 1/3 frames against the Astros on Sunday. Ron Washington said they didn't want Dana to have any more negative vibes and wanted him to head into the offseason healthy and ready to compete for a rotation spot next year. That's the point here. That's the takeaway. Caden Dana, he showed us what he can be in that first start. He also shows us what can happen when you're a 20-year-old in the majors, and that is in his last 2 starts. So I like this. I maybe would have liked to see him pitch one more time. I think it's a missed opportunity to maybe have him pitch against the White Sox. I feel like pitch him against the White Sox, a bad lineup. Hopefully he plays well against them, and then shut him down off a high note. But nonetheless, they felt like this was the right time. Just let him calm down, avoid some sort of injury. The season doesn't matter. I'm okay with that. I'm always erring on the side of caution when it comes to the end of the season when you're 60 and 90. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. I'm Gavin Carlson. The Angels lose 8-4 to the Chicago White Sox. I don't even know what to say at this point. 90 games they have lost now, 30 games under 500, 6 losses in a row, 8 of the last 9. Just about every negative thing you could think of, the Angels are doing it right now. But thanks so much to everyone who was in here despite the Angels' abysmal stretch and the abysmal season overall. Really appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my UCLA postcast from Saturday. We're approaching some crazy numbers on that one, so appreciate the support there. Check out the Rams postcast from yesterday as well. And also, humble plug, check out my personal YouTube channel, GAV, or just search Gavin_Carlson on YouTube for more UCLA content on my personal channel. I'd really appreciate that as well. But we're going to wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys. As always, Angels lose 8-4. And as always, after every single game, even a loss, go Angels. Take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow.